Welcome to Waves of Awareness, the podcast that is bringing the voices and personalities of people with disabilities to the community.
Listening along to learn more about the daily life of me and my friends, the resources available to us and our families, and how this podcast is chatting job for me and others with disability in this community.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Waves of Awareness. We're so glad you're here. My name is Staci Davis, and today I have help with my co-host, Johnny Sunshine. How are you, John?
I got around to it.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. We have a very special guest, Miss Audrey Kidd from Saddle Up. How are you, Audrey?
I'm great. I'm so happy to be here with you and Johnny today. Thanks for having me.
Good.
Yes.
We're so glad you're here too.
Color? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. John's
Okay.
got some updates for us. John, is there anything that you want to share with us before we jump into all things Saddle Up?
Yeah. Okay, let's just say Jesus Christ loves you and I love you. May God go in your peace. That's the spiritual side. But physical side, yes, I got some update. We're going to have a little picnic tomorrow, 10:30.
Mm-hmm. And do you know who's hosting that picnic? Our friends at Crosspoint.
Let's see. Cross Point, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It might be a little rainy, so that's okay. So I expect that anyway.
We have a pavilion, so you'll be sheltered from the rain if it does rain.
Yeah, thank goodness. Okay, might go to a little breakfast before we get to the picnic, the pink place or the barbecue place down the street by the bank. Just a little breakfast before we end over there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be a fun, full food
Yes,
day
it will
for
be.
you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Any other life updates?
No, but Jesus Christ love you. Father, so loves you, I love you. And Father, is one. Jesus Christ love you. One. And no, so far, I don't. Not yet. Not
Okay.
yet.
Well,
But I
hey,
will.
how about we get to know Audrey a little bit?
Huh?
How about we get to know Audrey a little bit? You want to?
Audrey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe you, Audrey.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So tell us a little bit about you, Audrey, and Saddle Up.
Well, again, thanks for having me. This is really fun to be here. My name's Audrey Kidd. I'm the executive director at Saddle Up. And Saddle Up has been around for 34 years. We provide programs with horses for individuals with disabilities to help them learn, grow, and thrive. And we really love what we do, and we particularly love the days that our Waves partners come out
Yes.
and spend time with us.
Yes, well, I will say that our Waves folks love coming out. So before we hop into that partnership, can you tell us a little bit about how you got to Saddle Up? Like, what's your background? Why horses? Why disabilities? What is that?
Years ago, I was a volunteer at Saddle Up, so got to know Saddle Up that way. My daughter, who's now 30, started riding when she was 8, and so I was a horse show mom, and one of the things that I said we were going to do was volunteer at Saddle Up so that she could first of all, know what a privilege it was to ride as an able-bodied rider, and also so that she could see how much work horses are. So it was really a hands-on experience for us as she was taking lessons and learning to ride. We loved Saddle Up. We loved doing that. So she rode for all those years, and then I started riding when she went to college. And so horses were definitely a part of this. At the same time, my stepfather was mobile by assistance of a wheelchair from the time that he was a very young man. And my stepbrother has developmental disabilities.
Oh.
And so I really felt that there was a place for me there, kind of knowing from my own family members how important services are to these individuals who are sometimes or very often underserved. And then the horse piece came into it. And so I kind of took all of the corporate experience that I'd had and brought that to the table, and it was really just kind of the perfect combination of interest and mission and heart for me.
That is beautiful. Like, I love it. Like, you started as a volunteer and now you're running the joint.
Yeah, well, some days.
It's a lot. So let's, you mentioned it earlier, you brought up the partnership with Waves. I know that we are not unique to the different partnerships that you have. So can you tell us a little bit about that, like the specific partnership that we have with you, and then how it's unique within the Saddle Up programming?
I'd love to. Well, it started actually, Stacy, with you and I sitting next to each other at a networking breakfast.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
never put a group of women together in a room to network and figure things out and not expect something to happen.
Exactly.
And so you and I started talking about how great it would be if the individuals who are part of the WAVES program could come to Saddle Up and we could share our resources. We have trained instructors, we have therapy horses, we have a beautiful facility, and we had some downtime because most of our kids ride before school or after school or Saturdays, so that middle of the day, which is a perfect time for the day program,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So we started kind of brainstorming what could we do together. So WAVES was the OG. We started out with WAVES and really developed a program that was tailor-made for your participants. Since then, we've also begun to work with Brightstone, with the Jordan Thomas Foundation, with Youth Villages. We have about 8 or 9 different partners now. So the program has grown really far,
That's
really
amazing.
fast. And it's really tailored to every single group. So for Youth Villages, and those are young men and women who are in the foster care system, they come to us every other week. They come with their counselors. We provide our own individuals who have training in equine assisted mental health and learning. And they're really working on trust, on emotional security,
Yeah.
on self-confidence. There's a whole range of benefits for those participants. With the Jordan Thomas Foundation, that foundation works with children who have prosthesis. And so for them, riding may or may not be possible, but they can do all sorts of things on the ground with the horses. And again, first of all, it's just fun. I mean, it's just fun, right? I know that again, we love the days that WAVES participants are coming out because there's a lot of laughing, there's a lot of carrying on. Everybody is really just getting so much joy as well as physical movement, emotional healing, confidence, just all the things that come with working with a horse. And these horses know, they are very, very intuitive animals. And so they get around someone like Johnny and they feel all that positive energy and they mirror it back.
Yeah, how can you not feel positive around John?
100%, absolutely. So it's a very tailored program, and we work with a wide variety of organizations.
Yeah, I know that our folks at WAVES, you can see it in the pictures that we post and share on social media. So if you're not a follower, please find us, WAVES Serves on Instagram, and you can see those smiles and the interactions that our folks are having with the animals. And it's so magical and it's so beautiful. Because if you see them in the day program or in other outings, there's just a different level of joy that's present when they're at Saddle Up interacting with the horses.
There's just something about animals and people, right? I think God just created us to be with each other. And so you're right. And I think one of the most wonderful moments ever with the WAVES groups is that we had a WAVES participant who came, and this was, I think, in the very first group. She had been a Saddle Up rider. And so she had spent her childhood at Saddle Up and was part of the Saddle Up family. And this was the first time she got to come back to Saddle Up. And the light on her face and the moment when she saw the horse that she had ridden when she was there riding before she became a graduate, was just remarkable. It was a great moment. I think Ava might have actually even captured that moment on film. And we've had a lot of moments like that, but that one was incredibly special.
That is very special. The connection between a person and an animal can be so strong. And I love that we've been able to experience that through your program.
Yeah, we've loved it too. In fact, we have volunteers who come to us and ask, can I sign up again to be part of the WAVES program next year or next session, because they love working with the WAVES adults so much.
That makes my heart so happy. I know. I think our staff might fight over who gets to take that outing for the day, because everybody wants to be able to go to Saddle Up and have fun.
I'm so glad to hear it.
Now, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I know that recently during our fundraiser breakfast, you attended, thank you, and you ran into one of the parents of one of the adults that we support. Can you share anything?
I would love to share that story. That was such a great moment. So we were standing in line, waiting for breakfast, and there was a mom standing in front of me, and she looked over my shoulder and waved at her son, and he waved back, and she said, "That's my boy, right? That's my little boy right there." Well, he's not a little boy actually, but he is to her. And I said, "Wait a minute, I know that little boy. That's Robert." And Robert is one of the participants who comes out, and Robert is amazing with the horses. He is so intuitive. He is so tuned into those horses. And so when she said, "How do you know him?" I said, "I work at Saddle Up." She burst into tears and said, "Oh my gosh, Saddle Up has changed Robert's life. It has changed his life. He has found something to be so passionate about, and he has found this thing, and that's what we always say about our riders, our participants, like they found their thing." And she said, "It's just been absolutely life-changing for him. Thank you, thank you." And I said, "Well, actually, again, we all love Robert. We love seeing Robert come out. He does a beautiful job with the horses. He can lead them now. He can groom them. He interacts with them in a really advanced way now." And so we really had a great moment, but it was wonderful to hear that this had literally been life-changing for him. She said she now has family members who are saying, "You've got to get Robert a horse."
Ooh.
And I said, "Wow,
Oh, goodness.
you probably want to just continue for Robert to come out to Saddle
Yes.
Up, because let me tell you, those little
That's a lot of work.
That's a lot of work, and they're very expensive." But she said, "But isn't that great that even family members, I mean, people around us now are saying, 'Wow, that has just been such a remarkable. There's been a remarkable change in him.'" He just lights up. He can be very quiet, as
He
I understand
really
it,
does.
but he's not quiet around the horses. He's just lit up.
I love it because Robert is a quieter participant that we have at the day program. He is very a little reserved. Like, he participates, but when he wants to. He does a lot of crossword puzzles. He likes to kind of keep to himself, but you can tell, like, when he goes to Saddle Up, he's a completely different person. He comes out of his shell, and it's amazing to see. And it takes different interactions, and that's the beauty of what this partnership does. Is that a lot of people might just say, like, "Oh, well, like, they're not even riding horses. They're not even like whatever criticism you want to give it."
Right.
But it's evident when you see the interactions of the folks together, them with other staff members, and then them with the animals. There is something magical happening.
Absolutely. And riding is great. I mean, we have 8 programs, and all of those programs, except From the Ground Up, which is the program that we help develop with Waves, are mounted programs, as we call them. So the participants do ride. But even those participants spend time on the ground. If you're a horse person, you know the term groundwork. And there are many, many very, very elite riders who talk about the importance of spending time on the ground with the horse, and that they will spend as much time on the ground with the horse as they do riding the horse, and because it creates that partnership and it creates that connection. And so we don't downplay the groundwork or the time that people spend working with the horses, grooming the horses. It's very tactile. You're touching this animal. This animal is breathing deeply. You can see the horses, they'll literally sigh. I mean, they will be so relaxed with the touch of the participant. And your heartbeat matches theirs. They match their heartbeat to yours when you're working with them that way, and you're breathing to them. And so, there's a whole thing going on there that's very... that's incredibly healing. I don't know what other word to use except just to say that it's incredibly healing for all concerned.
Everybody involved, yes. Even those that are just witnessing it.
Oh, even if again, that's why we have volunteers ask ahead, right? Can I please sign me up for Waves? We have children that ride with us that are very quiet, nonverbal in many cases, but their parents report that they will wake up on their Saddle Up day, and the first word they say is horse. They know that's their saddle up day. So we appreciate the fact that we have to have a rule called walking feet, because kids and participants get so excited to get to the horses that they literally want to run. And so you will often hear someone in the arena with their voice slightly raised saying, walking feet, walking feet.
Yes,
because it's just,
remember.
It's pretty exciting when you get there. It's a day we look forward to.
I would say anybody listening that can't imagine what these facilities look like that Saddle Up has, you should just go visit.
We would love to have you visit. We welcome visitors at any time. We are happy to do tours, and particularly when the weather's nice. Spring is a good time to come visit us. We have a beautiful location, and it is the door's always open. People drop by all the time and say, kind of wonder what you guys do.
Yeah.
We're happy to show you around.
It's a gorgeous facility, and the things that are happening in there are amazing.
Thank you. We are extremely blessed to have it. We've been in that facility a little over 20 years, and it was really completely changed the program. And in the beginning, we were nomads. We had borrowed horses and borrowed facility, and we didn't have an indoor ring. We could only ride when the weather was really good, and it was light, and it was calm.
That's tough in the spring.
In Tennessee, almost at any time, right? I mean, so we had some participants that only got to ride once a session because the weather just didn't participate, or it started getting dark too early. Now we have participants 6 days a week. We're there from 8 in the morning until 8:30 at night, and rain or shine. And so every participant rides once a week, and that makes for a much different therapeutic experience.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
That's really amazing. I know you've shared a couple of stories about specifically Waves participants, but do you have any other favorite stories over the years that you would want to share that really highlights what y'all do?
Oh my goodness, there are so many. It's almost hard to choose. I will invite our listeners to go to our YouTube channel, which is Saddle Up Nashville, and we have several videos there that tell rider stories. And just get a cup of coffee and a box of Kleenex and just sit down.
Pack the Kleenexes.
Yeah, because they are to hear from the participants and from their parents in particular. Our families say all over and over, this has changed our family's life. This has completely changed our family dynamic, and we pour as much into our families as we do into our riders. I will share, gosh, again, there's just so many, but I will share one story. We have a young rider who rides with us. He started riding with us when he was 4. He could barely hold himself up on the horse. At that time, he had so little muscle tone, and now he trots. I mean, he's a completely different rider.
I think that's an overlooked piece of it all. You know, like the different physical skills that you're learning when you ride horses, and because we don't think about not having that muscle tone, but for a child with disabilities, it's a regular occurrence.
It is, and and they're working, but they don't know it's working, right? So a lot of these kids have burned out of every other therapy that they're in, and some of them have been in therapy since they were tiny little things. But this they still love. So they're working hard. They're working their core, but it's fun. It's on the back of a pony. So
you're okay to do abs if you're having fun.
They'll do a full hour. And of course we have sidewalkers, and we have so they have support on both sides if they need it, and all the accommodations that you would need to make it safe and to make sure they're getting the most out of that experience. But when Ephraim first came to us, again, he couldn't hold himself upright on the horse. And he's medically very complex. He has 3 different genetic disorders that have never been seen before. Ooh. In the history of medicine and the history of mankind. No one has had those 3 genetic, and so he's a very fragile child medically. But he is a bright light. Just looking at Johnny and thinking about people who are sunshine, Ephraim is another one of those people who are he's just all sunshine. And so we did a video with him a couple of years ago, and he's a talker. So he's perfect video subject. So he's taking the photographer down and showing him his horse, and he turns around and says, I know a lot about horses. They're kind of one of my thing. Oh. And, it's just that confidence, when you think about when he first came and just the confidence that he's developed. and the things that he experiences now in his life that he's not afraid to, and the physical health and strength that he's gained through equine assisted therapy has been remarkable. And again, there's so many, but I just love that moment where, again, this is a child who's never going to play t-ball. He's not going to be on a soccer team. His mom talks about the fact that, they're just not going to have those moments.
Yeah.
But yet, horses
And
are
that
his
can be
thing.
hard for a parent.
It can be extremely hard.
It can probably be harder for the parent than the child.
Oh, definitely.
Because the child doesn't realize what they're missing out on in that moment.
In that moment, that's right. Well, we have Super Show coming up, so that's April 12th. That's our big competition day, and the kids really work hard. It's a true competition. We have ribbons, and it's a big day. And all you have to do is just see the looks on the faces of the parents and the grandparents and the friends during that day as they see their child in the arena on a horse doing their thing, to know that, this is pretty important to that parent.
It's great. I love it so much. Now, I know I've heard you tell the story and I've seen the video too, but you have a participant that has provided a direct tie for Saddle Up to an SEC team with Vanderbilt.
As a matter of fact, anchor down. Let's talk about Connor for a second. So Connor also started riding with us when he was 4. He was an postural walker. He was not supposed to ever walk. He started, and he also did not have the core strength for speech production. So he started with us with physical therapy, working with Sandra Gassari, who's one of our fabulous physical therapists. And as his mom tells the story, within 4 weeks, he went from saying nothing to saying, "Mom, go home."
Ooh.
He had this. He had it. So he's ridden with us all these years. He was accepted into the Next Steps program at Vanderbilt, which was an incredible moment for all of us. He has since graduated from Vanderbilt, but while he was there, and actually he continues to be one of the equipment managers on the football team. So here is a young man, and he's incredible in every way, but here is a young man who was never supposed to walk. And he is the person that you see run out to the middle of the field, pick up the kicking tee, spin, and run back to the sidelines, of course, with all of his teammates, cheering and screaming, because, he's such a team favorite. He's such a great guy. But his parents say he gained the confidence to do that. He gained, and what he also gained was what community looks like, and how important community is. And he really thrives in that environment because of the Saddle Up community that he's been part of virtually his entire life. So actually, we went to a Vanderbilt game last year, and I will say we were sitting on the other side.
Oh dear!
I know, but but it was so funny because we were going through the gates, and my husband said, "Okay, I'm excited to see my Longhorns today, but I'm really excited to see Connor."
Yes.
And at the end of the day, that's really why we were there. And the Vols had a great game, so we got to see Connor a lot.
That's
there was
good.
a lot,
Yeah.
So that was great. But he is he's a really a pretty remarkable story, but at the same time, kind of a typical story for us as well. And he works at the Y. I mean, he works in a physical career, and still comes out and rides with us on Thursday mornings, which he'll be able to do until he's 26.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
I feel like that's so powerful, and it shows the true impact of what intentional programming can do, even if it's a unique way of programming, because you are providing physical therapy in a very different environment. It's not clinical in any kind of way, even though you do have clinical rooms for folks.
We do.
But it's always associated and tied to horses.
It is.
And riding and grooming and taking care and like being an advocate for the welfare of an animal, but also supplementally being an advocate for those with disabilities.
You just described it perfectly. And the motion of a horse, when you're riding a horse, that is the only thing in nature that exactly mimics the motion and the muscle use that you have when you're walking under your own power. So particularly for our participants that are not independently mobile, they get a workout on that horse that they don't get if they're in a wheelchair or using a walker most of the time. So that, again, it makes a huge difference. But at the end of the day, we're really doing the same thing, Saddle Up and Waves and the other organizations we've talked about, and that is we're really providing a quality of life to the individuals that we serve that they deserve.
Oh, for sure.
And that's, I think, the most powerful thing about what we do.
Yeah, we have loved the partnership with Saddle Up, and we're so excited to continue it. And
we are too.
Our folks love it so much. So, if you want to learn more about Saddle Up, how can we find more information? Do you have any upcoming events too?
We do. We actually have Music Country Grand Prix, which is one of our big fundraisers that's coming up on May 31st. That will be at Brownland Farm here in Franklin.
Okay.
We've been doing that for over 3 decades. It was our original fundraiser.
Nice, yeah.
And so if you're interested in coming out and watching a day of high stakes show jumping and having a lovely buffet and fun with friends, it's a great day. Our participants kick off the day by doing a flag presentation on horseback. So that's usually the high point for a lot of folks. It's really cool. But we've got that event coming up. But you can go to saddleupnashville.org, and our website is full of information. We're on Facebook, and we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, and again, it's all Saddle Up Nashville. And so that's a great way to follow us and see our stories and get a good sense of what we do. And then, as you said, please feel free to come out to the farm.
Yeah,
and
it really
us.
is a beautiful campus. Y'all have such a beautiful facility, and we'll include all those links in the show notes so that folks will be able to find it easily.
Perfect.
And connect with you, and hopefully attend that event. Sounds like fun.
Yeah, it is. It's a good day.
Yeah. John, have you ever ridden a horse?
Oh yeah. I think May so we're supposed to look at the horses, like a walk with the horses, or something like we did before in a Christmas play, something like a little play horses out there.
There were lots of horses in the Christmas parade, weren't there?
Yeah, they're supposed to, and one in May something, we're supposed to have another one, but it'd be nice.
The rodeo parade.
Yes,
There'll be
yes.
lots
I'll
of
be in
horses
there.
for the rodeo parade.
Yeah, I'll be in there.
Yeah.
Oh, now, do Waves participants come out to the Franklin Rodeo?
We are going to this year.
We'll be there too.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And something else that's a miracle around by the
Yeah.
mattresses. They're going to have something with that.
Yeah, we had Brandy Blanton on a couple episodes ago talking about the Circle of Giving and the carousel that they're building, the Circle of Giving at the factory.
Yes.
And so
It's a great
we've
project.
talked about wooden horses and live horses. We're all about
That's
the
what I
animals.
mean. That's what I mean, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Awesome. Well, Audrey, thank you so much for coming on and sharing
That's
more
right.
about Saddle Up.
We'll find out what's going on with your horses.
Now, do you have a favorite horse?
I'm not allowed.
Okay, I didn't
play
know.
favorites.
Yeah.
I will
No
tell you that-
favorites,
no,
okay.
No favorites.
I got no comments.
Maybe Bishop. Hard not to love a horse that came to us from a rescue situation and has turned out to be like one of our very, very most loved horses and just great with everyone. But really, we have 28 of them, and they all have a different personality, and they're all pretty great in their own way.
And you also have some minis too, right? We work
Yes.
with, is it Thumbelina and Dan?
Dan and Thumbelina, yes, who are, as we like to say, Thumbelina really actually is in love with Bishop. He's the largest horse on the property, and she's the smallest,
Of
but she
course.
looks at him with love in her eyes.
Opposites always
Dan,
attract.
however, loves Thumbelina, and so he can't be without her. They are extremely bonded. So we have all sorts of interesting stories going on in the barn.
bet.
Yeah, there's our little love triangle right there. But Dan and Thumbelina are so precious, and they're fabulous to use, from the ground up, because regardless of your mobility, you can reach them, you can groom them. They're very, very intuitive, and we'd love to take them down and let them visit different places too. But yeah, they're a joy to have. They're good.
Yeah, because you're mobile too. Like you can take
We are.
horses. So
Yeah.
there's a perk.
That's true. That's right. We have taken our horses to the Veterans Hospital. to Camp Ability, which is a day program for medically fragile children in Murfreesboro. To all sorts of special sensory-friendly events. And so if we can work you into our schedule, we are happy to come and bring the minis or a couple of ponies and give everyone a chance to have the horse experience.
That's so awesome. Y'all have so many magical, cool things happening. It's fun.
Yeah. Well,
It's
again,
a lot of fun.
we love this. We love this partnership, Staci. Thank you for helping to make that happen. I mean, you really were
thank you.
instrumental. So it's been great. Thank you.
Yeah, it has been truly beneficial for the folks that we support. And the mom that you spoke to at the breakfast, we did invite her to the podcast, but she wasn't able to get off work during this time. But she is going to share some words and a testimonial for us to be able to share on social media and our website. And I'll definitely make sure you get that
I
too.
look forward to that.
So, yeah.
She was so much fun to meet. I loved getting to know her.
Yeah. So, well, any other updates? Thank you, Audrey, for
Thank
being
you.
here.
No,
other?
not right now, but will be. And that
No.
little circus, we call it on May. That could be the best month. of
The
May.
carousel?
Yes.
Yes. Well, if that's all the updates we have today, then that'll be our episode. So let's
Yeah,
wrap it
for
up.
now.
Do you want to sign off, John?
Yeah. Well, Jesus Christ love you. Jesus Christ love you. Father love you. I love you. They call me Johnny Sunshine. And I will return soon. This is Johnny Sunshine signing off. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's another episode of Waves of Awareness. Thanks to Spread the Positive for hosting us. And
Yes.
we'll see you next week, everybody.
Yes, ma'am. If it works all right, the cat will fly. It will fly away. Yeah.
Thanks, John.
Thanks for turning into another episode of Waves of Awareness. We are glad you're here till next time.
Waves of Awareness is a Waves Inc. podcast and made possible thanks to Spread the Positive, the Community Foundation of Middle Tennessee, and Tennessee's Department of Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities. For more information, visit us online at www.wavesinc.com/podcast.